The Hey Eddie podcast is brought to you by. Has this ever happened to you? You pack a lunch, you eat your lunch, and then, oh no, your lunch is gone. Introducing the Never Empty Lunchbox. You just put in 5 crackers and 2 fish sticks, and boom, you've got enough to feed your whole family, your whole church, your whole town. Keep reaching in, there's always more. Side effects may include 12 baskets of leftovers and everyone asking to sit with you at lunch. The Never Empty Lunchbox, because running out of food is so last century. Not available in stores or anywhere because only Jesus can do that. This is the Hey Eddie podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Michael. The Hey Eddie podcast is dedicated to helping kids like my cool cousin Eddie learn about the Bible and learn important lessons about God, about Jesus, and about life. The Bible is indeed God's gift to kids, a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. On today's episode of the Hey Eddie podcast, we're going to be studying Mark chapter 6, verses 31 through 44, in a lesson titled, The Biggest Picnic Ever. This lesson will teach us that Jesus cares about you like a good shepherd. Our key memory verse is Mark chapter 6, verse 42. They all ate and were satisfied. Hey Eddie, okay, have you ever been so hungry that your tummy started making weird growling noises? Like, well, today's Bible story is about a huge crowd of people who were super hungry and they were stuck out in the middle of nowhere with no food. But then Jesus did something amazing. Ready? Let's go. So here's what happened. Jesus and his disciples had been working so hard. They were teaching people, healing people, helping everyone, and they were exhausted. Like, so tired, they didn't even have time to eat lunch. Jesus saw how worn out his friends were, and he said, "Hey guys, let's get out of here. Let's take a boat to a quiet place and rest." That sounds nice, right? A little vacation, some peace and quiet. But here's the crazy part. The people saw them leaving in the boat, and they didn't say, "Oh well, bye Jesus." Nope, they started running on foot around the whole lake. And guess what? They got there first, before the boat even landed. Can you imagine? Jesus pulls up to the shore expecting a quiet beach, and there's thousands of people waiting for him. Now, some people might be annoyed by that, right? Hey, we were trying to rest. But not Jesus. The Bible says Jesus looked at all those people and he felt compassion. That's a big word that means his heart hurt for them. He cared about them so much. He saw that they were like sheep without a shepherd. You know what that means? Sheep need someone to take care of them, to lead them to food and water, to keep them safe. Without a shepherd, sheep just wander around, lost and hungry. These people needed someone to take care of them, and Jesus was going to be that someone. So he started teaching them for hours and hours. But then it started getting late. The sun was going down, and the disciples came up to Jesus with a problem. Jesus, it's getting dark. We're in the middle of nowhere, and all these people, they haven't eaten anything. Maybe you could send them away so they can go get some food? Sounds like a pretty reasonable plan, right? But Jesus said something that totally blew their minds. You give them something to eat. Wait, what? The disciples were like, Jesus, do you know how much that would cost? We'd have to work for like 8 months to buy enough food for all these people. There were 5,000 men there, and that's not counting the women and kids. This could have been 10,000 people or more. Jesus just smiled and said, "How much food do you have? Go check." So they looked around, and they found 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. That's it. That's like one kid's lunchbox. But watch what Jesus does. He tells everyone to sit down on the green grass, in big groups of 50s and 100s, like the biggest picnic you've ever seen. Then Jesus took those 5 little loaves of bread and those 2 fish. He looked up to heaven, he thanked God for the food, and he broke the bread. Then he handed it to the disciples and said, "Pass it out." And Eddie, the food just kept coming. They passed out bread, more bread, more bread, fish for everyone. The disciples just kept reaching into those baskets, and there was always more. Every single person ate. Not just a little nibble, they were stuffed, totally full. The Bible says they were satisfied. And here's the craziest part. When everyone was done eating, the disciples picked up the leftovers, 12 baskets full. They started with 5 loaves and 2 fish, barely enough for one person, and they ended up with 12 baskets of leftovers, way more than they started with. That's not just a miracle, Eddie. That's Jesus showing us that he can take something tiny and turn it into something huge. So, what does this mean for you? First, Jesus cares about you, like a good shepherd cares for his sheep. When you're tired, hungry, sad, or lost, Jesus sees you and he cares. Second, you don't have to have a lot to help people. The disciples thought they had nothing, but when they gave what little they had to Jesus, he turned it into more than enough. Third, nothing is too hard for Jesus. 5,000 people, one tiny lunch, no problem. Jesus can do anything. So here's my question for you today, Eddie. What do you have that you could share? Maybe it doesn't seem like much. Maybe it's just a little bit of kindness, a little bit of time, a little bit of help. Give it to Jesus and watch what he does with it. This has been the Hey Eddie podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Michael. Remember that the Hey Eddie podcast is dedicated to studying the Bible and learning important lessons about God, about Jesus, and about life. Today, we discussed Mark chapter 6, verses 31 through 44. Tune in soon for another episode of the Hey Eddie podcast, where we will study Mark chapter 6, verses 45 through 56. Love you, Eddie.